Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
You know we're going the right way because, and I quote, I just do.
Though I don't know why. Maybe it's my love for Victoria guiding me.
Nice cup of Earl Grey.
Get out, everybody. Get out.
Did he hurt you, Captain? So what's the problem?
It's my reputation.
It's all right, Captain. We always knew you were a whoopsie. We always knew you were a whoopsie.
Yeah, let's go.
Look at those windows. This definitely reads Inner Sanctum. baggy, you know? Like I don't have any, pep. Maybe I have low T.
Excuse me, gonna need to see your barcode.
Barcode?
No code. Security Detail 142, we have a possible unvax on G-Deck.
Something wrong?
It's okay. She's with me.
Mr. Murphy, we didn't realize.
It's cool.
For many years, science has believed it could turn a boy into a girl. Not just make a boy look like a girl, but make him think like a girl, feel like a girl, be a girl. To turn a boy's brain into a girl's brain. To do this, science would have to override the very blueprint of nature, our genes. The theory was that although the genes on the X and Y chromosomes and our hormones turn us physically into males and females in the womb, they don't irrevocably shape our minds. Scientists believe that what happens in our brains to make us think, feel, and behave differently as boys and girls, to give us what's called our gender identity, is shaped by a force perhaps more powerful than nature, nurture, our upbringing. In theory, the key to our gender identity is that we are taught it, by things like the toys we're given, the clothes we wear, whether we're encouraged to behave in male or female ways. If this was true, then it would theoretically be possible to turn a boy into a girl, to make a boy feel like a girl, think he was a girl, by, amongst other things, carefully raising him as a girl. And dramatic proof of this theory was said to be the case of Bruce Reimer. It all began on a summer's morning in 1965, when Janet Reimer was granted her dearest wish.
When I was a little girl, I used to dream about having twins. And I always thought,
I would never be lucky enough to have twins. I wasn't the lucky kind. And I had twins.
Janet called her identical twin boys Bruce and Brian. But within 6 months, events would take a dramatic turn.
Bruce and Brian both started having trouble urinating. The doctor suggested circumcision.
On the 27th of April, Janet left her twins at the local hospital in Winnipeg. Circumcision was a straightforward procedure, and she expected to pick up her boys the next day. But early the next morning, she got a call from the hospital.
We went to the hospital, and then the doctor said the penis has been burnt off from circumcision. And I could not comprehend what he was talking about because, you see, I thought they were going to use a knife.
Janet and her husband took their twin babies home and shut out the rest of the world. She had a little boy with no penis and didn't know where to turn.
Then we saw this show on TV. We just happened to be watching TV.
Dr. John Money, a psychologist at Johns Hopkins, is one of the leading advocates of sex change operations. Dr. Money is in The Barefoot Tonight with Alvin Davis.
On television that night was a brilliant young psychologist. John Money was a pioneer in the astonishing new field of sex change surgery.
Dr. Money, it's still a pretty drastic procedure, isn't it?
Well, it's a drastic procedure by your standards and mine, but for the people who are living in desperation, perhaps the best way to understand it is that it seems no more drastic to them than circumcision.
Janet thought that there might be a chance that he could help her son by changing him into a daughter. Within weeks, Janet Reimer had taken her son to the prestigious Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, where John Money ran a world-famous unit. There, Money's team explained to her how to turn her little boy Bruce into a little girl, make him think and act for the rest of his life like a female. The reason the team felt this was possible was because they believed they had made a new discovery about human psychological development. Traditionally, it had been thought that all children had an inborn sense of being a boy or girl, a natural instinct towards male and female behavior. But before birth, our gender identity is programmed by our genes and hormones, and that it's unchangeable. If this was true, then Bruce Reimer already had his male gender identity biologically fixed in the womb, and he could never be turned into a girl. But John Money didn't think things were that simple.
We've been stereotyped in our view of male and female behavior. I suppose primarily because it's been that way for literally centuries and probably hundreds of centuries.
The Hopkins team believed that the main key to how we develop our gender identity was not genetic or hormonal, it was how we were raised. A child might be born with some innate sense of its gender, but this could be overridden by upbringing. But nurture could override nature. A child taught to behave in a masculine way would grow up thinking and feeling like a boy. Raising a child like a girl, for instance giving it dolls to play with, would encourage it to develop a maternal instinct and a feminine way of behaving. If this theory was true, it could be used as the basis for raising Bruce successfully as a girl. John Money and the team at Hopkins had reached their groundbreaking theory about nurture and gender identity while they were trying to help people born with a rare and distressing condition. Historically called hermaphrodites, these were people born with genitals that were neither fully male nor female. In medicine, they're known as intersex. Intersex cases are caused by an imbalance of hormones in the womb. All embryos start life as female, with internal female organs. But from 6 weeks, if the baby is to be a boy, the genes on the Y chromosome cause the fetus to develop testicles, which then produce the male hormone testosterone. It's this testosterone that makes the male organs grow. If, however, something goes wrong with the delicate balance of hormones in the womb, the child's genitals won't develop fully and can be ambiguous. Intersex covers a wide range of complex conditions. For instance, this baby girl has been exposed to too much testosterone in the womb, and so her genitals appear masculine, but she is genetically female. This boy did not receive enough testosterone in the womb, and so he was born with a tiny penis that could be mistaken for a clitoris. Because mistakes were made when looking at their genitals, babies like this were often brought up in the wrong sex. In the 1950s, John Money studied intersex children who'd been born genetically one sex but raised by mistake as another.
You find, for example, once in a while, not very often, but you do indeed find a person who is chromosomally a female, who has 2 ovaries inside, a uterus, who with appropriate treatment could in fact get pregnant and carry a baby. But that same person is born not with a clitoris, but with a penis, and I mean a regular type little boy's penis.
The astonishing thing that Money found was that if a girl like this was raised as a boy, she would fully believe that she was a boy, even though she was born genetically female. Likewise, a boy born with a tiny penis could be raised successfully as a girl and believe himself to be a girl. From studying these intersex children, John Money and his team came to a groundbreaking universal theory about all human development. The theory was that we were all born with such an unformed sense of being male or female that for up to 2 years after birth, all babies' brains were malleable. There was a window of opportunity when you could train any baby to believe itself to be either a boy or a girl, but only if you started early enough and provided the right support. It meant upbringing could override whatever effects genes and hormones had had in shaping our gender identity in the womb. But after 2 years, this malleability ended, and the child's gender identity would be forever fixed. This became known as the theory of neutrality. For those dealing with the complex problem of intersex, Money's work offered hope. He advised doctors to pick whichever gender seemed most suitable and assign the baby accordingly, importantly, before it was 2 years old. This decision would often mean performing surgery to alter the genitals of the child. This meant that boys born with a tiny penis were often surgically transformed into girls and raised as girls.
They were castrated, and their external genitalia were surgically modified along female lines.
It may sound brutal, but many doctors who deal with the deeply complex problems of intersex see this as the best solution. Over the years, thousands of children have been treated this way. Today, here at Great Ormond Street Hospital, intersex children are treated along similar lines. This baby did not receive enough testosterone in the womb. It is genetically male, but was born with a tiny penis, undeveloped testicles, and some internal female organs. This child has not been fully masculinized before birth. Surgeon Philip Ransley believes that turning this child into a girl offers her the best future. Once the baby's gender is assigned, the next step is surgery to make her genitals as like a girl's as possible. No further surgery is likely to be needed, though the child and her family will be helped with continued medical and psychological support. At puberty, she will be given female hormones to develop the external appearance of a woman. Back in the early 60s, gender assignment surgery had only ever been performed on intersex children. But Money's ideas went beyond the specific problem of intersex. He had devised, he believed, a universal theory about gender identity, that we are all born with an unformed sense of being male or female. So, theoretically, any boy could be raised as a girl, even if he'd been born completely normal. On the 3rd of July, Bruce Reimer was surgically castrated. He was 22 months old. From now on, Bruce would be Brenda. She would be raised as a girl, treated as a girl, encouraged to behave as a girl. She would receive psychological support, and at puberty she would be given female hormones. It seemed the ultimate test that nurture could override nature. If it worked, Brenda would grow up not only with the body of a woman, but with the mind of a woman as well. Diamond had become obsessed with the idea that it was the hormone testosterone that held the key not only to our physical gender, but also to our gender identity, to what makes us feel like men or women. As a student in the 50s, Diamond was involved in a series of groundbreaking experiments that began to uncover the secrets of testosterone's power. Pregnant laboratory animals were injected with testosterone. That testosterone in the mother made its way through the umbilical cord into the babies in her womb. When the litter was born, the female's genitals looked almost male. The testosterone pumped into them before birth had transformed their bodies. But the big question was, would this same testosterone affect their minds, their instincts, make these females behave like males? The answer was yes. The females who had received testosterone in the womb even attempted to mate as if they were male. It seemed that testosterone had programmed these females' brains to give them the instincts and behavior of males, and it all happened before birth. But what affects animals does not necessarily affect humans. To prove that testosterone in the womb irrevocably defined a human's gender identity, Diamond would need far more evidence. So when he attacked the theory of neutrality in the 1960s, nobody listened. Meanwhile, John Money was closely monitoring the progress of the twins. He felt Brenda was growing up successfully as a little girl and had adopted a female gender identity. By 1972, Money believed that he had enough evidence to announce to the medical community that he had changed the gender identity of a child born a perfectly normal boy. The case was published in textbooks, discussed at conferences, even reported in Time magazine. It became an international scientific sensation. It seemed dramatic proof that John Money was right, that we all have an unformed gender identity at birth, that we learnt to feel like men or women. Whatever was in our genes could be overridden by upbringing. But just as John Money was announcing the success of the twins case, in a laboratory in Los Angeles, another discovery was about to be made that would cast further doubt on the whole idea of gender neutrality at birth. Gorski and his team believed that the difference in behavior between males and females must be caused by some physical difference in the brain. and Gorski was determined to find this difference. The team set about comparing the brains of male and female rats in minute detail. Slice by slice, millimetre by millimetre, they compared every area of the brain, hoping to spot even the smallest of differences. But after years of searching, they found nothing. Then, out of the blue, one of Gorski's students claimed to have found something. A tiny area of the brain that seemed to be different in males and females.
I had a graduate student in the laboratory, and he announced to the lab group that there was a marked structural sex difference.
The student claimed that the difference in this area of the brain was blatantly obvious. No one in the laboratory believed him.
And so he arranged for a meeting in a conference room, had two projectors side by side. On one he put a slice of male brain, on another he put a slice of a female brain.
Deep in the center of the brain, in an area known as the hypothalamus, Gorski's student had found what they'd been looking for.
There was this dramatic difference that just jumped out at us.
The male brain on the left had an area twice as big as the female brain on the right. This is the actual part of the brain that they isolated in a male rat. They called it the sexually dimorphic nucleus, or SDN. And here it is in the female rat. Nobody knew what this part of the brain did, but it was the first proof that there was a difference in the brains of male and female rats. Gorski knew that testosterone caused all the physical changes in the body of a male rat, but could testosterone be turning the brain male? The team repeated Diamond's early experiments by injecting a pregnant rat with testosterone. As before, the females of the litter behaved like males. Then, Gorski examined their brains. The SDN had been transformed by testosterone while the rats were still in the womb. The female rats had the brain of a male before they were born. What this meant was that in rats at least, male and female brains were physically different at the time of birth, and the difference was caused by the hormone testosterone in the womb. And Gorski suspected the same difference would be apparent in the brains of humans. At this stage, no one could say how this difference might affect behavior, but it was the first hard evidence that lent support to the idea that we are not born neutral. By now, John Money had written another book describing the twins' case as dramatic proof of his theory about gender identity. But far away from the textbooks, the family were dealing with the reality of the situation. At about this time, the local psychiatrist looking after Brenda wrote to John Money about the concerns she had with Brenda's development. Brenda was showing clear signs of being deeply disturbed and unhappy. John Money didn't publish this. When Brenda was 13, the Reimer family decided to stop seeing Money. From then on, nothing would be heard about Brenda for 15 years. But now, biologists were closing in on one crucial new piece of evidence about the brain. Although a difference had been found in the brains of male and female rats, scientists had as yet been unable to find a difference in the human brain. But one team in Amsterdam was looking. It took them 5 years to collect enough human brains for their research. Then, the painstaking work began. Just like with the rats, slice after slice of male human brain was meticulously examined and compared to an identical slice of female brain. They had finally found the sexually dimorphic nucleus in human brains. In the male brain on the left, the SDN is twice as big as it is in the female brain on the right. Over the years, 4 more types of SDN, different in males and females, were found clustered together. Could this be where our gender identity lies, the part of the brain that makes us feel male or female? In the 1990s, Professor Schwab's team began the first ever study of transsexual brains to see if there was some physical reason for transsexuals' unusual gender identity. Schwab was convinced that the answer must lie in the cluster of sexually dimorphic nuclei. If he could prove this, it would be the first evidence that gender identity was linked to a specific part of the brain. After years of painstaking investigation, he found a key new SDN. The picture on the left shows that particular SDN in a normal male brain. The picture on the right shows the same SDN in a male transsexual like Emma. It's the same size as that of a woman. The 11 male transsexual brains Schwab studied showed this SDN to be the size of a woman's. It seemed clear to Schwab that this cannot be coincidence, that this particular SDN must be important in defining our gender identity. Other preliminary studies seem to suggest that this difference in the brain between men and women happens before birth. And if so, it may be that our gender identity is already so established in the womb that it cannot be overridden by upbringing.
I think if we look to the entire set of data, it's clear that we are not born neutral, that there are sex differences present already very early in development.
The big question was, what had happened to Brenda Reimer? And in 1995, she was tracked down. The girl who had helped to make John Money world famous was living anonymously in Winnipeg. And it was time to go public.
I didn't like dressing like a girl. I didn't like behaving like a girl. I didn't like acting like a girl.
Brenda Reimer, the boy who was turned into a girl, was living as a man.
Well, I wore dresses on occasion, and I never played with girl stuff. I usually get stuck with dolls or something like that for my birthday or Christmas, and I sat in a corner collecting dust. Played with my brother's things. Wasn't too happy about sharing. Share with my brother, or I don't have anything.
For almost 14 years, David had lived as Brenda, and for most of this time, he had been unhappy. But by the time Brenda had become a teenager, her life had become so difficult, she had become a virtual recluse.
I was so pitifully lonely. And I tried to put makeup on, but I looked like Bozo the Clown. You ever can imagine a guy trying to put makeup on himself? After a while of trying, I just gave up. I said, well, what's the sense of trying? No matter how much I put out an effort, it's never going to work. There's no way of knowing whether you're a boy or girl, because nobody tells you. You don't wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm a boy today. You know. It's in you. It's in your genetics. It's in your brain. Nobody has to tell you who you are.
When Brenda was 14, after years of unhappiness, her parents revealed her true sex at birth. Within a few months, Brenda had decided to become David.
It's coming, it's a-coming.
For the last 10 years, he has been married and living in Winnipeg with his wife and her 3 children. He has undergone surgery to have his penis reconstructed.
Make sure the car won't move.
Unaware of the significance his case had had to science, David had never realized how important it might be to go public.
By me not saying anything, the medical community was under the impression that my case was a success story. And I was shocked when I heard that people thought that my case was a success story.
But many surgeons and psychologists believe David's case has no bearing on intersex
I'm not done yet.
because he was born a normal boy. Unlike intersex children, who receive an imbalance of hormones in the womb, and their brains may well reflect this. For many who have to deal with the complex problems of intersex, the wider body of John Money's work is still highly valued, and he remains respected in the field. Indeed, while the guidelines for treating intersex have evolved continuously since the 1960s, they have not altered as a result of David's case. Many experienced surgeons continue to believe that intersex children do genuinely benefit from gender assignment surgery. The fact is that neither the case for or against assignment surgery for intersex is proven. There simply is not enough evidence. Over the last 40 years, because of the sensitivity and complexity in tracking patients, there have not been sufficient long-term follow-up studies to fully judge the outcome of gender assignment surgery for intersex. Many doctors who continue to have contact with their patients say most are happy in their assigned gender. But it will continue to be difficult to gain independent evidence of this.
Look, you work out the details. I really have to be going. You see, I'm getting married again this afternoon.
Again?
Yes, but this time I'm going to marry a boy with a future. Jimmy doesn't like to waste his time playing baseball and football like the other boys.
Well, what does he like to play?
Cops and robbers?
Oh, you mean he's going into police work?
No, politics.
Girls are smarter than anyone, well, almost smarter than anyone.
Girls are quicker at ABCs.
Our girls are hipper at 1, 2, 3s. Girls are smarter than your computer, much more accurate,
much more cuter.
Girls are witty and lots of fun and smarter than anyone. Girls are brighter than anyone, well, nearly brighter than anyone. Times are changing and we're right with them. We're in harmony.
We got rhythm.
Roles are changing and girls are switching. Leave the diapers.
Leave the kitchen.
When all's said and when all is done, we're brighter than anyone. In the complaint department, girls are brighter than anyone.
Now, the ladies nominated for Best Performance in a Supporting Role are Linda Blair for The Exorcist,
Candy Clark for American Graffiti,
Madeline Kahn for Paper Moon,
Tatum O'Neill for Paper Moon,
Sylvia Sidney for Summer Wishes, Winter Dreams. The winner is
Tatum O'Neill.
All I I really want to thank is my director, Peter Bogdanovich, and my father. Thank you.
Girls are clever and lots of fun and hipper than anyone. In an attorney's office, girls are hipper than anyone.
Tatum O'Neal, the kid from Paper Moon and Bad News Bears, is now more adorable than ever.
Look, I don't like sharing the space with you either. You keep out of my way and I'll keep out of yours. Deal?
Isn't she a little darling?
Girls are witty and lots of fun and smarter than anyone. Girls are cleverer, girls are sneakier, girls are pushier, girls are cheekier, girls are wittier and prettier than anyone. Almost.
In 1953, Christine Jorgensen was the most famous woman in America.
And I thank you all for coming, but I think it's too much.
Born in 1926 and named George Jorgensen Jr., Christine was one of the first Americans to have gender reassignment surgery. Having always identified as a woman, but living in a time where little was understood about gender identity, Christine grew up in the Bronx and was a GI in the US Army. Upon being honorably discharged, she discovered the work of a Danish doctor called Christian Hamburger, someone who would change her life forever. Dr. Hamburger was the first clinician to diagnose Christine as not being homosexual, but what was then called transsexual. He went on to perform Christine's initial surgeries in Copenhagen. Before flying back to the USA, in homage to Dr. Christian, she decided to go by Christine. Upon her return, in what was an extraordinarily brave move, Christine was open to talking to the press.
Have you been offered a movie contract?
Yes, but I haven't accepted it.
Do you have any plans regarding the theater?
No, I don't think so.
Are you going to go on with your photography?
I hope so, yes.
I see.
Polished, eloquent, and with a sharp wit, her story captivated the nation. She seized this opportunity to educate. Christine also went on to tour with a nightclub act, singing her own personal theme song, I Enjoy Being a Girl, and racked up more column inches than the likes of Marilyn Monroe. But there were still barriers to Christine's happiness. She planned to marry a typist called Howard Knox, but when their engagement was announced, Howard lost his job, and a marriage was never allowed because Christine's birth certificate still read male and couldn't be changed at the time.
So much younger than today. I never needed anybody's help in any way. Oh, help me if you can, I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around.
apartment that was dirt cheap.
And we found out why it was so cheap.
Our friend Amy said there was a great apartment in her building.
Dirt cheap, but it's a hotel for women. Okay, we made one adjustment.
Now these other ladies know us as Buffy and Hildegard.
But they also know us as Kip and Henry, Buffy and Hildy's brothers. I am crazy about the blonde.
This experience is going to make a great book.
See, it's all perfectly normal.
Meet Vida Bohème.
Enchanté. Why are you crying? Maybe she just found out Menudo broke up.
Miss Noxzema Jackson.
Jesse's daughter.
And their protege, Chichi Rodriguez.
I'm the Latino Marilyn Monroe. I got more legs than a bucket of chicken.
Vida, I don't think of you as a man. And I don't think of you as a woman. I think of you as an angel.
I think that's healthy.
Get your morning paper, ma'am?
No, thanks, Sonny. Can you tell me where I can find 341?
341? Second brownstone, ma'am.
Thanks, Sonny.
Cheeks and she's no square, she's got it. Oh, baby, she's got it. Ooh, baby, she's got it. Y'all can't help it. She was born to please. Can't help it. The girl can't help it. And she's got a figure made to squeeze.
today about how a museum in England is now using female pronouns to refer to ancient Roman Emperor Elagabalus, joking in reference to the trans lobby, since the museum works with Stonewall, that they really saw a dude labeled the most sexually degenerate and incompetent leader Rome had ever seen and went, "He's just like me." And if that isn't funny enough, the museum is taking at face value the writings of Cassius Dio, who claimed that Emperor Elagabalus wanted to be referred to as a woman, cross-dressed, and married a man. But the problem is, that was all written by Cassius Dio after the emperor had been murdered and a new emperor had taken his place. And since we know that back in those days, calling a man a woman was one of the most worst insults imaginable, then it's likely this museum was dumb enough to fall for the ancient propaganda that was created to justify the assassination. And that's not to say that Elagabalus was an angel, because we don't know. So it's also funny that the modern trans lobby heard about an emotionally unstable ruler who allegedly had a bunch of depraved sex with men and women and killed servants in gruesome ways, and they thought, that's our guy. Or I mean, that's our girl, you go girl.
Biological things.
Is that a threat, you fuck? You can rot in there.
Rick, forget what I said. You and Morty haven't been men for a long time. In fact, Rick and Morty have always been women.
Oh God, Rick, I feel weird. Why is my voice like this? Why does my chest feel heavy?
He retconned our chromosomes, Morty. He shifted the timeline so we were born female. It's total biological rewriting.
I don't see the problem, ladies. You've always been grandmother and granddaughter. Just two gals on an adventure.
I remember prom. I wore a dress. Why do I remember wearing a dress to prom, Rick? I don't want to remember that. Fight the new backstory, Morty. Don't let the estrogen memory set in.
Oh, look, the guards. You know, guards have always loved hitting on cute girls.
Hey, beautiful. You two look lost. Need a strong man to show you the exit?
Rick, can't you change us back?
I may have royally fucked us on this one, Morty.